Look how we gave it to you. Look how we gave it to you.
Oh my God. Let's go.
Look how we gave it to you.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Vibe Check podcast. You're listening to Prashant Murali, and we have an interesting guest this week. And before I give out his name, I would like to speak about few calibers that he has under his sleeves. And he's all the way from Delhi. He has 11 years of professional dancing experience, along with that, 10 years of corporate experience as a network engineer. And he's one of the pioneers in Indian dance crumb culture and been inspiring me from the day I met him in his dancing. And also currently working as a life coach, specializing in area in mindset and movement, right? And he's also a certified international speaker in national and international events. And he's a trainer and a mindfulness practitioner. And he goes by the crumb dance names as Non-Dual and also Kidhood. So here we go. We have Rohit Raj, aka Non-Dual, all the way from Delhi for us. Hello. What's up, brother? How are you doing today?
I'm very good, man. I'm doing very good. Absolutely amazing. How are you?
I'm doing great too. Like, it's a pleasure having you on the show. And first of all, I would like to deeply thank you for accepting this invite and taking your time to being here and to share your story and your experience with us. It's really grateful.
Man, it's my pleasure to be here. To be honest, I was pretty excited for this, and I'm really looking forward for this.
Definitely. Thank you so much for that. So let's get straight into it. What is mindfulness? Is something that I've been curious about. So why don't you tell us what you think about mindfulness?
Um, it's, I think mindfulness is just being aware. Just being aware about various facets of reality. It could be you're mindful about the emotions that you're in, you're mindful about the kind of food that you eat, you're mindful about what kind of people you interact with or spend your time with. Various kinds of things, you kind of get aware of, right?
Yeah.
So that's basically mindfulness in a nutshell. And yeah, like
That's crazy.
the most.
Thank you for that explanation. Like, awareness really matters, right, in our daily life. And how is it been helping you over all these years? Because you have a huge transformation under your sleeves, right? As a corporate employee, as a network engineer, to a creative artist, it is a huge gap that most of us try to be there and fill that gap, but we are not sure how to get there. Can you tell us a bit about your experience about this transformation from a network engineer to a creative artist that you are today?
um I think awareness played a certain role. I think till later in my journey, when I started understanding what awareness is and why it really matters.
Mm-hmm.
Before that, whatever situations happened to me, I felt like uh, it was supposed to happen in a certain way. I just responded to them however best I knew at that time. And there were things that happened in my life. So of course, a corporate life happened for uh, many years. And in the beginning, I was like, I want to be at this very good corporate space, in a certain paradigm, thinking that how the world is and what is the highest thing to pursue, right? Which would probably be money or a career. And that's amazing. Um, we went into a space, a span of some years, and then I realized that, okay, this is okay. I'm doing and I'm good at it and things are flowing well for me. So what else, right? What else?
Yeah. So yeah.
Because
Mhm.
mostly you go ahead and look for things that you don't have in your life, right? For a person who was growing up, who came from a regular school, and who did his college and who came into corporates, for him was, I think, a lot of money.
Yeah.
And when you have that, then you realize that, okay, you have money, and now you realize that, okay, money is not the real thing. Money is not the main thing. Probably there is something more deeper than that. And there is a certain gratification that you have when you get something from money, which you lose in a while. So then I felt that, okay, what else? Like, I felt that dancing was my thing. As a kid also, I used to dance, not professionally, but just like that, copy people and stuff. And then I felt that, okay, I should do that. I wanted to creatively express myself, and the closest I knew was dancing. So I just went in there, and I just did the dancing. Um, 8 years or so. The way it came is like, it just happened. It just happened. I felt like things were just happening, and I could not really realize that things were happening later on.
Mhm.
I mean, obviously, at that time, I didn't feel like things were happening. I felt like, okay, I'm trying to control things. I'm trying to do things. I have to do this. I have to make this. I have to do crump.
Yeah.
I have to do this crump thing or whatever. So I felt that I had to do it. But then later on, I realized I have a sense. I don't fully realize it, but I have a sense that it was kind of happening. In a certain way. It was supposed to happen. So it just happened. Uh, you know, in a form where this person who's sitting here in front of you, he just wanted to express in various ways, and
Definitely.
everything that happened, that was just an expression of me
You.
just coming out. Yeah.
Wow, that's an
So
amazing no transformation, to be honest. That's and I really love the way how you concluded that it's just a self-expression of you, of yourself, right? That's why it cannot be fitted in a single nutshell. It cannot be fitted in a corporate sense or just being a dancer. It has various parts to it. As we grow, eventually we keep
mm,
finding or keep seeking for more things that feels
mm,
like us. That's what I
mm.
got that from your
and that
explanation.
and
Mhm.
that's really amazing because our life unfolds in phases, right?
Mhm.
And there is a certain phase that we are always in, and then we move to a different phase. You'll
Yeah.
have, like, I had a corporate phase. I mean, these are not the same phases for everybody. It's a very relative phase, but still, I feel like some people, let's say, have a phase of drinking too much, or some people have a phase of just having bad relationships, you
All
know
right. Mhm.
or and then, of course, the phases just change and then you move into something else.
And isn't that the reason only if somebody makes a conscious effort to change, they'll definitely change? Because I could relate from the corporate perspective. I am part of that too. I still do it. But and I also try to be creative somewhere that I could also relate some part of you that we also went through a pace of life like where we required that change for self-expression. And as you mentioned about habits like having bad relationship or being an alcoholic, it's all habit forced, right? So how would you think habits can really change us to our better selves?
That's a brilliant question, I feel, because
Thank you.
people like to change a lot of things on the outside, but hardly they try to change a lot of things on the inside. Now, habits is a very inside game, right? And
Definitely.
habits is happening in such a way that you don't realize that it's a habit. I mean, it requires a certain degree to realize that, certain degree of awareness to even realize that, okay, I have a bad habit of judging people, or
Hmm.
I have a constant habit of seeking approval from somebody,
Yeah.
or I have a bad habit of just sleeping with my head like that, right? I
Yeah.
mean, these are regular stuff that you can probably figure out because they are physical things, you see it, but what's happening inside you, it needs some level of awareness, right? And that's where mindfulness comes in, and that's where your second question comes in, that how awareness, helps. So awareness, I think, is the first thing. Once you have that awareness, then you probably can, it's like a light, you can
Mhm.
put it on various things, and and you put it on your, let's say, um, when your habits, you realize that, okay, there are some habits that are good for you and some habits that are not so good for you, right?
Yes, yeah.
So to even strengthen those ones that are good, that's a good thing. And to also work on the things which are limiting you, or which are draining your time or energy. There might be a habit of you checking the phone, probably, right? And probably the amount of time that you spend, that's taking, let's say, a lot of time, which you could probably use somewhere else. I mean, if you have that requirement, I'm saying. I mean, if you don't have
Definitely.
anything and you
Mhm.
just want to just do that, that's great. But for somebody who wants to be productive or high performer, or who wants to really perform at his best, try to set up like some amazing goals, and try to get them, not just like theoretically, but actually,
Yeah.
making things happen in his life, roll things, so that requires a certain level of discipline, that requires a certain level of awareness, which also is like having a check of your habits. We said good bad habits, and whatever, I think it plays a powerful role, because to shift a habit is, it's I would not say it's easy, but it needs some amount of work. And when you do that work, you realize that, oh, it's not just this work that I need. There is a new lesson that I need to learn, which is called persistence, which means if I'm trying to put a new habit, I have to be persistent for some time,
Yeah.
right? I have to
Mm.
have patience and I have to have persistence, and
Mhm.
then, and in that process, when you go inside, you kind of learn like two more things, right?
Yeah,
So I
definitely.
think
Mhm.
habit is powerful. Like it's really powerful. It's if people can have a clear understanding of what their habitual patterns are,
Mhm.
um, the regular ones and the gross ones and the subtle ones. Subtle ones, like sometimes people want to share something with somebody so that they can get a compliment from somebody.
Definitely. So that kind of brings us to a place where even the book Power of Habit kind of talks more about this, right? And something that I know a little bit can, or that helped me to connect with what you just said. And you, as you said, there are two consciousness. There's a conscious level, there's a subconscious level, and habits are deeply rooted in both. And being aware in what levels our habits are connected can really help us to mold us better. That's crazy.
Absolutely.
That's crazy. That's
Absolutely.
crazy.
Right.
So awareness is the first step to attention, and that will help us in order to be mindful. And it also requires discipline, right?
I think discipline comes in as like a,
Mhm.
he's a different kind of a character. He comes in, he's like, man, I need my space, because if I'm not here, none of your things are moving forward.
True,
He's like,
true.
you can put a
Yeah.
lot of work,
Mhm.
you can put a lot of other stuff,
Yeah.
but if I'm not here, nothing is happening. So I
Yeah.
think discipline is pretty powerful, because discipline is that the things that you know that you need to do,
Mhm.
you are able to do it irrespective of how you feel about it,
Wow.
right?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. That is discipline. Yeah, you have well defined it for me, I guess, because it's opening up so many things. Because uh, without discipline is the ultimate thing, and you portrayed it as a whole new character, right? That's crazy. That's too much deep, I guess. Yeah, too much to
And I
work
would
on.
also want to just add to what you said, that
Mhm.
probably it's not the ultimate thing, but it's one of the very important things which needs attention, right? For
Yeah.
example, one of the other things is, which is like such an underestimated guy, like people underestimate him a lot, but it's very
Uh-huh.
important. Like he's very, very, very important. And the thing is, in the entire process of you achieving, doing something, all this thing, gaining mindfulness and XYZ, so many things,
Mhm.
there's a guy called self-love, right? And he comes in and he
Yeah.
says that, okay, even though if I do it bad, if I don't achieve something, if I fail, can you be okay with me, or do you want to beat myself up, or do I want to put myself down, or do I want to get into like a negative phase of mind that, oh, things don't work, you know,
Mhm,
nothing works for me, or you turn into a victim mode, you know. So
mhm,
it
mhm,
also like how you contextualize that, right? Then it really um, matters. So the way
mhm.
you put in, if self-love, that guy is not there, then you'll probably go in a different direction, or probably not really have that ease for yourself. You need to have some ease for yourself, you know. So there are so many facets that come in from various sides, I think, and everything has its own important space. We develop into learning each of these as we move forward, I feel.
That's crazy, bro. Because self-validation can be the most suffering if there's no self-love, right? Damn.
Hmm.
Like, it is a
Yeah,
priority
that's
to
amazing.
not to always put ourselves in a situation, and if something doesn't work out for us, to put ourselves in the victim mask and suffer. Rather, we could
Hmm.
motivate ourselves or uplift ourselves, and
Hmm.
and that's one of the reason I think we all crumb, because we love that uplifting factor, right? Because it kind of helps
Hmm.
us. Maybe for a dancer, dancing is the uplifting source of self-love. What do you think about that?
For a dancer, I think yes, it's really powerful. Dancing is really powerful, and how movement. It's not just at the physical level, body. It's even at the mind level, and it's even at the spirit level. And I
Yeah.
feel that something that connects all the three and keeps you in the present moment,
Hmm.
it itself has a lot of power in it. You know, I mean, because I'm sure you have noticed this space of being in a timeless zone when you are dancing sometimes, right?
Definitely.
That you didn't realize the time went by, or you know, just it just went ahead, like, you know, the time you just
Breaking
hijacked time.
all the scientific theories about the world and time and everything. Maybe the physical moment is connected directly to the body and with our mind, as you said. So it allows us to be in that dimension or a zone to feel that. That is so true. We all feel that one point of the time, right? Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's crazy. And like, since we started talking about dancing, I just wanted to like ask a question for us to understand, because this will elevate the topic in terms of travel as well. Because with your
Travel.
journey, travel, like
Okay.
I wanted to ask you about your
Time
experience.
travel.
Maybe we will in the future, consciousness. We will never know. Yeah.
Mm.
So I wanted to ask about your time travel to Crumpire, and you being uh, like one of the representative as Crumpers to be there for the first time. And how was your experience, and how did it help you to gain a wide knowledge, not only about dancing, about different culture, different organizers, or different human beings? How did it help you in your journey with that specific travel?
Great question. I feel Crumpire was a very game changer moment in my Crump career, right? Because I felt that before that, I was also probably going through a lot of stuff, which a lot of dancers go through sometimes,
Mm-hmm,
that sometimes they don't feel that they are good enough. You
mm-hmm.
know, they feel that they need validation or approval from other people so that they can tell them that, okay, you're good, right? And then you feel that you're good. You know, before
Yeah,
that, you were not able to generate that for yourself, right? Give me 1 second.
sure, sure.
Sorry about that.
No
So,
problem. Be you, do what you do best. Yeah, that's all we are here for. Go ahead, brother. Yeah, go ahead. You're speaking about
um,
validation in a dancer's perspective.
yeah. So once I went there, of course, technically a lot of things changed for me. Like technically, like dancing wise, a lot of things changed for me. I realized that till what level I can push my body, and what all things can I do, and what are the stuff that I'm not doing at all, right?
Mhm.
So when I saw a lot of people there, and the movement is really crazy,
Mhm.
the male movement and the female movement, the females are crazy there. It's incredible. And I mean, I think the female crumpers in Russia, like, they are the best in the world. It's
Hands
incredible.
down,
So,
yeah.
and and then I that whole event, I was pretty excited for. That was a thing that I wanted to do. So I was already very excited just to learn from all these people, crazy people, and to have so many shifts at that moment. Of course, it didn't happen on those days.
Mhm.
When I took them back and then I worked with them, a lot of things changed for me. And then I realized that after some time, after, let's say, 1 year, my crumb started to shift a lot, you know.
Mhm.
So external changes were, of course, these, that my crump and everything changed a lot. But um, when you asked me that what are the other things which are not even connected to your dancing, so one of the things was that I felt a lot more confident, about
Mhm. Okay.
confident about who I really am. I realized that I didn't have to put myself down or put myself in a certain way to fit into a situation, box, scenario, or somebody's mindset,
Mhm.
or whatever. Like,
Yeah.
I
Mhm.
realized that there was something, about me that, like, which had potential, which could really sprout, and which could really grow crazy. That knowing was a little bit, I think that was enough to spark things further, you know in a way, like in my crump, I mean, right? And then I was generally growing in life also, right?
Mhm.
So all those elements, add up to your dancing as well. They
Okay.
add up to your crump as well. And I feel that when there is a shift in the mindset, the movement automatically shifts, even though you haven't drilled things into your body, you
Mhm.
know and it's very interesting, I feel, to see that
Yeah.
that like, I feel when your mindset shifts, your graph of physical ability, that can, like, really shift like crazy.
Wow.
Probably you might have not labbed and put it into your body, but because you are dancing from a space of you knowing that you are something.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
every time you're expressing yourself or you're moving your single hand, it's happening because of that expression that you are something, and you're moving this hand this way, and it could be moved till this way, right? And okay, now I can turn around, I can do something else. But when your mind shifts a little bit, then what happens is you probably realize that there is no way. I mean, the way is what you create. That's the way.
Yeah.
And then you
Mhm.
let go more. The idea is to let go more. In Crump also, if you talk about, I think the main idea is not to do a lot of things. It
That's
is
so
to
true.
actually let go.
Mhm.
It's actually to let go of the mind which is there in the picture, the body and the mind which is trying to control the movement, and
Mhm.
let the spirit, dance through you, or let the crump just happen through you. There is a power and a beauty in that thing. but
Definitely.
but
Yeah.
but including me, like a lot of people and most of the people, we are most of the time in our bodies, or we are most of the time in our minds. And by mind, I mean that, okay, I have to make this combo this way, okay, I have to make it technical, I have to make these angles, and I have to look like this. it's
Mhm.
it's from that space, right?
Mhm.
So
When we try to force it for long years, and as you said, Trumpaya, but just by witnessing people from other country do it at their best, kind of brought you a whole new awareness in your dancing. And what you just told me is amazing because of that. That helped you to become very technical in your dancing without forcing it or validating yourself. And I feel you just got connected to who you are. That's what you said. And amazing how it also reflects on your life and how your life reflects directly to your crumb. as something more dancers should connect and and try it on themselves, I guess. That's an amazing answer for that. Thank you for that. Yeah, and we also touched a little about like it gave me a sense of spirituality, right? And with just physical movements, spirituality can be experienced, and we cannot speak for everybody in the world because everybody feels different with how they perceive the world, how they perceive themselves, and how they feel physical movement or mental aspects can help them in their journey. How did it help you to become whoever you are today in terms of spirituality?
Like, how did spirituality help me become who I am today?
Yes.
Okay. Wow, that's like such a broad stroke you made.
Yeah.
but if I have to like really concise it and say it in a like very crisp way, I feel um,
Like you've been to camps for Vipassana, right? So that's where my question came in from, to know the idea of you practicing that, and not many people are aware of that. I got to know about it only after meeting certain people and also seeing your stories, to be honest, right? There's something called Vipassana that's directly linked, not only in terms of spirituality, it's a whole different world out there. And since you have been part of it, that's why that triggered a question for me to learn more about it. So you can share us about your journey there and how it's connected to your spirit and how it is helping you to connect with anybody that you meet in your journey.
okay. So if I answer your first question about spirituality, then I would say that it's just the moment I became a bit more serious about this work, right? It's a constant work that you do for the rest of your life, right? It's not like something that you will do for some time and then you're done with it, right?
Yeah.
Or in other words, I mean, everybody has their own interpretation of it, right? For me, it is more trying. If I talk about this thing called spirituality, because it's also a word which has got some you know um, um, slangs to it. Let me not
Yeah.
say slangs. It has got a certain okay, the way you look at slangs
Yeah.
compared to a regular language, right? You look at it like, okay, slangs are like that, right? So
Yeah.
similarly, people have a lot of notion about spirituality and they talk so many things about spirituality, and um, it seems like it's a in thing to be in, right?
Yeah. Mhm.
Like
That's
drop
true.
shoulder t-shirts came in. Similarly, like spirituality came in, so they said, let's hop onto this train.
First, as long it gets us somewhere. I mean, but we don't know actually where it gets anybody, right? Yeah. Yeah. Let's go.
So I think for me, I think it's more about being at my highest expression, or
Mhm.
being the best of what I can be as a human being. Okay. Just to see that what a human being can actually be at his highest form, you know.
Wow.
Now, it could also mean that you are on a journey of trying to improve your level of awareness,
Mhm.
or let me say, level of understanding of the world, right?
Mhm.
You know, and the degree to which you understand the world, or you want to understand the world, you realize that it's not the world you're trying to want to understand, it is you who want to understand. You the whole idea is that you will know yourself at the most deepest layers, and you will try to know what the truth of who you really are. And when you know that, I don't know what happens when you know that, but when you know that, uh, probably from that space you can live a much more powerful life, like very contentful life. And I'm drawing this contentful life conclusion because I'm
Mhm.
talking about we are living in like a three-dimensional reality and we have to survive in this earth and all that. But generally, it is more about more just trying to find your best self, trying to find the truth of who you really are, and what's at the core of it. That whole work of um, seeing through the sham or seeing through the illusion, right,
Mhm.
is the work of spirituality, right? And and just to add a quick point from Crump, when you really see through that, there is a point where the dual self that we talk about, like different you and different me, different
Yeah.
different people, different entities, cup is different from me, all that stuff. So
Yes.
so that kind of a duality at a high degree of awareness, it kind of collapses. And when that duality collapses, you realize that universe is more of a unified field, which means that everything is uh, connected with each other in a certain way, right? And there is a non-dual aspect to the whole thing.
Yeah.
You know.
I think you
Yes.
just gave us a clear picture what non-dual means, and it also kind of explains why you have that dance name for yourself, right? Because our energy is unified and everything's connected to one. And when we understand about duality, which is pretty much opposites of everything, right? Like for example, yin and yang, that's where we differentiate in our matrix world, and how we label and run our lifestyles. And once you have an awareness and we break it, that's where non-duality comes into existence. That's what I got from your no, your story. That was amazing. So welcome to the show, non-dual. Just
Because I also feel that um, easier said than done, because the work the work if somebody is on the path and somebody is on a space of understanding their highest self, the work is actually not easy. you know the reason for that is that at every phase of evolution of yourself,
Mhm.
there would be moments when you would have to lose a certain part of who you are, right? You have to let go of certain identity that you thought you were, right? And that letting go, and it's like cutting your hand, like you had a hand, now you have physical pain because this hand is not here. Similarly, when you lose an identity of yourself, for example, that um, yeah, like when you lose any kind of identity for yourself, you feel pain about it,
Yeah.
right?
Is it
And then
probably
you
because I'm sorry to cut you off, but then like that was a really interesting point uh to get deep into it, I guess. Because when you say to the suffering kind of begins only when we let go some part of our identity, right? And is that something that where ego can be placed as a word, just to understand, because it's directly connected to our identities, because we have different identities at a workplace. As a student, we have different identities, and how we maintain relationships with our acquaintance or your best friends is totally different from when we are alone in our own room, no, with ourselves. Right? Is it something related to ego?
Yeah, when you say ego and when you say your identity, these are the same things. These are interchangeably used. And when you say, and so ego really doesn't, ego is not like a sense where, oh, you didn't do something to me, I'm not going to do it for you, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
That thing is what usually people think as ego. But I mean, that's a part of ego, but ego is basically your entire identity of who you think you are. Everything, your worldview, your habits, your behaviors, your biases, your constructions,
Mhm.
your everything that you think is true, right, false, your parents, your stories that you have, the entire A to Z, everything put together is the sense of self, or
Mhm.
your identity, or your ego, right? and it's a great tool in a way, right? And it's a great tool which actually helps you survive in this world, because survival is a very important thing. It's a very powerful thing,
Yep.
because when you get a little bit on this work, you realize that every action that somebody does it's deep rooted in survival, right? It's deep rooted in his sense of surviving. It could be whatever. It could be a monetary survival. It could be just psychological survival.
Mhm.
So I think ego plays a very important part. It's a great tool. In spiritual terms and languages, people say that, oh, we have to transcend the ego, and when we transcend the ego, that's when we see the whatever, right? But I feel like, and I get the theory, about what, but the idea is that everybody goes through a very individual, very unique journey of doing that, of shedding certain aspects of him which doesn't serve him anymore, and he grows through it. He grows through it, he grows out of it.
Yeah.
And then and let's say from first he understands, and then from an understanding point of view, probably he then inner stands.
Yeah,
Right?
inner
That's how
stands.
Big
Damn.
Homie said.
He understands and then he inner stands. Damn, that's crazy.
Yeah.
That's that's very well put, bro. Like it makes a lot of sense, because when we stand our ground to ourselves, and watching whatever that we are as the self gives us a whole new perspective or whole new possibilities for us to walk into. That's all if the
Yes.
journey is all about, right? And even
Right.
in I wouldn't say I'm very spiritual about life, but I've had that phase in my life to to have a little understanding about it. And there's this reference of a snake in spiritual world, which is might not, you can call it anything, not just spirituality. Even by observing the animal kingdom, the snake sheds its skin, and if it stops shedding its skin, it dies. Just like that, we have to keep shedding our past. We gotta keep shedding what doesn't work in terms of ego for us, because it's, as you said, it's just an identity and mostly a survival tool. It is the best naturally put place for ourselves to keep us alive, because as humans we definitely might take some stupid decisions, right? What I mean stupid, I guess, any fun decisions that we take can end up hurting ourselves. Just our egos are in place to let us know that you don't have to do it. Don't push yourself too much. Like, stop right here, because you have a different world tomorrow. It's a conscious reminder for us to remember who we are. That's what I got from them. Yeah.
Absolutely. And one of the points that we spoke about earlier about habits, and you spoke about the power of habits.
Yeah.
So this author, he talks about, in that book, he talks about a very interesting point where he says that when you're in the process of creating new habits, one of the ways to create a new habit is to take on a new identity for yourself, right? You put in the work, and then you take on that new identity of that, okay, I'm the guy who wakes up early. That's a new, let's say that's a new habit that I'm trying to put in, which
All
is
right.
true for me, right? So I sleep late in the night, wake up late. So I want to reverse that clock, and I want to wake up early. So I realized that I would have to take up this habit of the fact that I need to put a new identity, that I'm a guy who is not the guy who sleeps late and wakes up late. I'm the guy who wakes up early, and when I put on that identity, and then I work on creating that new identity, it really helps to move ahead. If people can just understand this concept of ego and try to hack this in a way that it can work with you rather than against you, it's such a powerful tool. It can probably give you a lot of push, and yeah, I mean, I think that would be a great thing. So it's not all just bad that you have to get rid of it. Definitely
Yeah.
not. Like, it really serves a purpose, and I think if could, if used wisely, and you know, if understood and used wisely,
It could
then
definitely help somebody in the process of self-development, or
absolutely.
becoming the higher version of themselves. Everybody
Yeah.
wants to be the higher version of themselves, irrespective
And you also
wherever
realize
they
that
come
the
from.
higher version that you are tapping into, that's also an identity, right?
Yes,
And from
yes.
there, the higher version that you're tapping into, that is also an identity that you are taking for yourself. That's also a kind of a ego that you're building for yourself. That
Mhm.
uh, earlier I was the guy who didn't feel good about myself. Okay, now I'm the guy who feels great about myself. Now I'm the guy who feels the best. Now, yeah. So you know
You're going live with that statement. I saw.
that's what life is, you know. That's
Yeah.
actually what life is means. And even when you in Crump, when you see,
Mhm.
the idea is to go live, right? Which means the idea is to, you know, transcend, as I say, transcend limited thinking, you know,
Feel
transcend
alive,
this.
maybe.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, right,
Yeah.
exactly. It's crazy. It's
We
all
have a
about me.
crazy live bang culture for sure in terms of dancing. That's so
Mm,
true.
yeah.
So I have an interesting question for you. You might have heard it,
Yes.
in some different platforms, but I thought I would, ask you that question. Like, if you have, if you like to have dinner with three people, dead or alive, who would it be, and what would be questions or discussions would you have with them?
Wow. Mm, three people. Um, I think the first person I like to, the first person I would like to be is a guy called Leo Gura. He's alive, and he's a YouTuber, and he's a great mind actually. You know, he's an amazing mind, and he's actually one of my teachers, right? In
Mhm.
the process of, you know, growing myself. And his material and his style of teaching and his you know, the way he pointed me out about different things about everything, or he helped me move into different spaces and research more and do my things, you know. So all that help was really amazing. So he is one of the guys I would definitely like to meet and probably talk more about same these things, from a you know, from a metaphysical point of view, or from a regular point of view, or from, would like to go deep into a conversation, and not just for the conversation's sake, but
Mhm.
to really see that how can I move to my next space, probably, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's the first person. Second person, if I'd like to meet somebody. And when I think of this question, I actually have had nobody. Like, you know, like I was thinking, who the hell do I meet, man? Like,
That's the whole purpose of the question, to make you make you rethink about the people that, no, maybe this question kind of triggers the people who really inspire you in your life, right? Maybe
mm,
who can be really connected to who you are. That's the
mm,
idea behind this question.
mm. Yeah, I think I would like to meet um, another guy called Dr. Joe Dispenza. He's also alive, and I think I'm gonna meet him soon. I don't know when it is, but um, he's a scientist, and he's an author, and he does crazy work on these things. You know, all these things. You know, trying to create your reality, and the way his work has inspired me to, you know, go deeper
Mhm.
into everything and myself. It's incredible. So Joe Dispenza is the second guy. Leo Gura is the first guy, and the third guy would be, I think I like to, let's say, meet Undertaker, right? And
That's an interesting question. Undertaker, all right.
yeah, the Undertaker, man. Undertaker is my like childhood hero. Like I still watch him, and
Yeah.
in the past like 15 years, I kind of didn't watch him. Suddenly, I've picked wrestling a little bit here and there. I just watch, but then when I watch Undertaker and his aura and the way he was as an athlete, as a performer,
Mhm.
it's mind blowing to see like a phenomena like Undertaker, you know. Like
Definitely, bro.
there are so many other people too, but
Yeah, but
I want to probably ask him like how did you do certain things, like, you know, like
Mhm.
what was he thinking at that time, you know? Yeah,
It was
you were saying
crazy.
something there.
It was crazy that you brought up Undertaker because it came from nowhere. I wasn't even thinking about it because it kind of fits in for the question. Three people who you would meet if they're dead or alive. And Undertaker tops the list because he's the only person incarnated from your list, like multiple times.
Shit, I
And
didn't
you,
know where that come from, but yeah.
no, like I used to be a huge fan of wrestling when I grew up because
Mm.
that was the only thing was really fun at that time to watch as a kid. And Undertaker was one of my favorite too. And the only thing
Right.
maybe we like spoke now among our friends is this guy was dead 7 times. This is his eighth life. This is his ninth life, and all that stuff.
I want to tell him all the rumors I heard about him.
Yeah, please go ahead. What did you hear about him?
No, no, just you know, these kind of things that you just said, like he was there and he alive and he did this and that. Like later on in my life, I realized that okay, WWE is all staged.
Yeah,
There's a fake fake show
big
right
thing.
there,
Yeah,
but
yeah. For the audience, it's just a scripted storyline show for the world where it's only related to entertainment. And as
yeah,
kids,
and it's entertaining. It's
yeah, it's
entertaining for sure.
entertaining.
I'm still entertained by it, I must say.
Definitely. They have a way to do it though. That's crazy. Like, do not get occupied with that idea of wrestling because we have a whole Olympic setup to do that, I guess, like professionally, like as a physical moment to do that. Yeah, that's crazy.
Hmm.
Thanks for the answer though.
No problem, man.
Like, you already told us that you're practicing that to wake up early in the morning, and that's one of your new routines that you're trying to put in place. And is there anything else that you've been trying just like this and that successfully put in place and that you've been consistently doing it? Is there something like a whole practice that you can tell us about, which might be a new practice for most of us? Maybe we could try that.
Hmm. I think one of the practices, I mean, the regular practices like my meditation or my gratitudes, gratitude journal or affirmations, these stuff that I do generally as well. But I think pretty recently I've been pretty in on manifestation, right?
Mhm.
And by that I mean like just trying to put in um, some amount of energy so that I can raise my vibration and keep it at a high state for a longer period of time. And from that space, try to create the life that I want to create for myself, right? Or the things that I want to get in my life. In a way, this has been an ongoing thing for me for quite some time. I've been practicing it for some time and I've been getting results like in and off, right? Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work, and when it doesn't work for like 2 months, then you realize something about it, that okay, you're holding on to something or you're wanting it too bad, or or
Yeah.
your energy kind of goes down through the day. So with trial and error, sometimes it's been working, sometimes it's not been working, but in the past, like some time, like around 8 months or so, or maybe probably more than a year, I think
Mhm.
it's starting to become a little more clear. It's starting to get a little more clear about the process,
Mhm.
and also about the conviction of the process, or let me also add uh, the trust in the process,
Wow.
right?
Yeah, that's the key
So
thing that most of us don't like work towards, I guess. Trust is a huge thing for me. Like to trust a process and dedicate yourself and surrender That's where manifestation happens, maybe, right? And
Mm,
that is a very
yeah,
key takeaway for me, and from what you just said. Like, how do you?
yeah, because
Mhm. Go ahead. Go ahead.
because I think like there is an element of letting go,
Mhm.
and there is a letting the element of letting go opens your channel so that you can start to receive now. Sometimes we put out the work of, let's say, doing our affirmation or doing our whatever method that we are practicing, we do that, but sometimes then we when it's time to receive it, you close your bucket. It's time to rain and you kind of close the bucket, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So you have to
So
empty them first in order to refill, maybe.
yeah, empty them for sure, but also be in a receiving mode where you
Hmm.
could start to receive it now. I mean, this is like just one of the things that I'm telling you in this thing, but this whole idea is what has been really inspiring me to do all this work. Because and why am I doing this work? I should ask myself that question and then answer. The reason why I'm doing that work is because it kind of breaks a very big paradigm. It breaks a very big paradigm of mine, and
Mhm.
somehow I'm just after breaking that paradigm. I'm like after his ass for the past many years. And the
Mhm.
paradigm is that you can create what you want to create, right? For the longest time in my life, I felt that you cannot create everything that you want to create, right? There are limits to
Oh.
what you can create,
Mhm.
right? I always thought in those structure because the place where I grew up and the way my conditioning was, it was a mediocre conditioning. It was a
Mhm.
conditioning where it showed us to survive in a very nice way. And with all, I'm all grateful for all that space. I'm really glad that those things existed, because of which who I am today. But along with that, they were a certain space where mm, you were not told that you could do anything that you want. You can
Definitely.
do this thing and this thing and get a job and do this and get married and this thing and that thing and that thing. There is a structure defined, and I always believed that. And then as I came here and I started doing all this thing, the one of the main your first question, one of the main growths that I had was just my understanding of who I really am, or
Mhm.
and what I could do, right? When
Yeah.
that refined a little bit, I realized that I'm somebody who could do anything. And it's not just me, I'm saying it's me. In fact, it's equally valid for you and for everybody else, that we could do whatever we want to do. Like we could create whatever we want to create in and in the process. Of course, you have to believe that. If you don't believe that, anyways, you will be creating limited. But if
Mhm.
you have if you tap into the power of um, tap into the power of if you can tap into that the if you can tap into the fact that you can create anything that you want to create, and take the support of the universe, or take its support, or take its help, or just work in synergy with it,
Mhm.
then you realize that you could actually create whatever you want to create. So one of my main works that I do is to actually break this paradigm, which
Mhm.
I thought, and it's of course has broken in so many ways, it had shattered in so many ways. That's the reason I'm actually very serious about this work, because
Mhm.
you realize that when you feel that you could actually create anything that you want to create, so then nothing holds you back now.
Yeah.
There is literally nothing that can hold you back. And it's like yeah, I say it's like in a room where there is no internet and a lot of computers, and then one computer is connected to the internet. Now suddenly it has all the information. Now this example is very relative to this idea, but the internet that I'm talking about, it's the infinite internet. It's the field that I talk about. And when you talk about manifestation, you're trying to create from that field. The reason why I named Dr. Joe Dispenza, because his work strongly talks about this, about creating from the field.
Mhm.
That when you start, how could you, you know, bring about the life that you want? And of course, there's a process to it. And when you follow that process, or you go through that process, you realize that you you work in synergy with the universe and you create, and that kind of a creation is really powerful. That really alleviates a lot, I think.
It definitely does. And the way you gave us the example of the internet kind of builds up a whole new perspective for us and the listeners as well. You know why? Because the way you put it was in a dark room and there are computers and there's only one computer connected to the internet. And that changes everything, right? And in the world of data now, we're in the world of data where everything's about information. Everybody's like, information is unlimited in nature, just like the same internet connection in that room, but just that it's largely spread to the human consciousness, as I feel. Since so that's changing our evolution in a way where we don't validate information anymore. Like the infinite information that you just told us, it comes from a very different place from the information that I'm talking about. I'm talking about social media. I'm talking about no, the smallest percentage of internet that we use, right? So where we don't validate any stuff, we just constantly consume so much information. And I feel that's a real priority for our current human consciousness to, you know, understand and have a wise usage of this. And because we have to understand that we are the storage containers for these informations, right? Yes, this is all connected from what you just said from our conversation so far. And how would you like, you're a mindset coach and a movement coach, and how are you taking this information that you have, and since you're also exploring it every day and experimenting with it with new sources and having the benefits out of it, right? And which is why we do it, because it's a very healthy pattern to do it and elevate ourselves. How are you training the artists or entrepreneurs to become their best at what they do?
So the reason why I got into coaching was because I wanted to kind of find a systematic way of, let's say, just helping somebody. I always had this urge that probably I wanted to help somebody if I could, with whatever I can. And somehow I was also into personal growth for, quite some time. And then I realized that I can use this thing and see that if there is something like that. And then I stumbled upon industry called coaching. And then I realized that there are so many coaches, like in different fields. You can be a spiritual coach, you can be a mindset coach, a movement coach, a health coach, business coach, brain coach, whatever. Like so, and literally there is a guy called Jim Quick who is a brain coach. So I came in here, and then it was like I felt that I could actually help people in a very systematic way. When I said, I meant that when you help somebody, right, I think it's not about trying to advise them what you think about their problem, right? If you just advise them that, oh, you should do this, that, this is coming from your experience, that probably doesn't stand true for the other person, right? So for the other person, it is important to derive his own answers for himself, or his own insights for himself, right? And that's what coaching does. It helps. It would help the person, who's a coachee or who's a client or whatever. So it will help them to find their own answers, and then we will kind of try to create a space where I keep him, where I help him become more aware of his things which probably block him, or the things which actually deplete his energy, or things which doesn't serve him, or serve to his space what he wants to do, right? If he wants to be at a certain level, or if he wants to go to the next level of whatever that is, be it performance or be it just doing a task or whatever that is, it needs a certain kind of course, work is required. There is, I always say that there is physical work and there is mental work, right? Both are equally important. And the physical work of, let's say you have a goal to reach, let's say 1 lakh rupees per month in the next 6 months. Of course, there
Okay.
is work, physical work, which is needed to make that thing happen. You need to see that is you want to do a business or you want to do a job somewhere, or how you want to do it. There's a physical aspect to it, but also there is a mental aspect to it, which means that you got to see that what are the beliefs that are limiting you inside you. Probably there is a belief inside you which limits that, oh, I don't think I can make 1 lakh. I think I can just, I'm just worthy for 30,000. I think that's, or 40,000. I think that's, what my best could be. So when you have that limiting belief for yourself, that doesn't let you go to your next phase. And you being that person who's living that reality, you would probably not see that.
Yeah. Mhm.
So these nuts and bolts about is what a coach comes and fixes. Let me not say
Yeah.
fixes. It's not a good word to say fix,
Mm.
but it's that's what a coach helps somebody with. And once you find that, okay, these are the things, these are the values that are really like my thing. I should really um, act. Let's say if one of your values is um, authenticity, for example, which means that you have to be, you want to be authentic, right? You really want to be authentic. And then when you're not authentic, you probably keep a check to that. You see that, oh, okay, I realized that these are the places where I was not authentic. I was lying, I was manipulating, I was doing this or that, right? And
Mhm.
then you observe that, right? So
Yeah.
stuff like that, these are like deeper level of awareness that you bring into a personality who is on a mission or to go to his next level.
Yeah.
But of course, this whole work, that's what we help people with in our one-on-one coaching. We get them to like a 1 month or a 3 month situation, or a 3 month contract, I could say, where um, we see that what is the goal that they want to achieve, what are they struggling with, what are they trying to achieve, and then we find a systematic approach to make it happen. And so
That's
yeah, so
pretty
that's how we
lovely.
like help.
Yeah. That's pretty lovely about you sharing your work. And that clearly says that as a coach, a person really knows the mechanics of the uh, not just the client, it's also about the person and what they want to achieve, what's their end goal, and the coach in place is going to help them to achieve that in a much more faster pace, just by opening up doors that they thought was blocked for them.
Super, very well
Uh,
put.
that's crazy. And that brings me to the question, if there was a time machine and if you travel back to the age when you're 18 years old, what would you tell your 18-year self today?
Mm, today I will tell him to just follow your heart, like
Wow.
be in tune with your heart and just do what you want to do, because you're going to die soon. So so just use this time wisely by connecting with your heart, then to your mind. I might probably tell him that, and I'll tell him to have more trust and just do your thing. I'll tell him that, I think.
That's pretty deep, bro. Yeah. And just to add on, like, I agree to that. And just a quote that I saw somewhere, and it meant so many things. And I live by that every day nowadays. It's been years that we only die once and we live every day, right? So that's just want to put that out there, because if that's a huge awareness for somebody to understand that we're all gonna die, because that is the ultimate experience or the best teacher, I feel, for all of us. And the pandemic has been a best teacher. And it's a very sensitive subject to talk about, because it's not just a subject, it's a uttermost reality for all of us, right? And since you said that, I wanted to just talk about this, though. That can be a very sensitive part of everybody's life, but it is the biggest coach for all of us. In a way, it just opens up for us to trust in ourselves and the universe and just go forward after that, because we would have been so emotionally exhausted. To anybody who's listening, anybody that went through this, we wish we give you more strength by talking about this, I guess. to you and your family. Yes.
Yeah, I feel like death is a very powerful teacher, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
And the reason why I feel people are not empathetic and compassionate towards other people is because they don't realize that they live in under the assumption that they are going to live for another 20, 30 years. It's a very cute assumption that we all live in, that that we are young people and probably we're going to live for another 30, 40 years or X number of time. There is an underlying assumption which is always silently sitting there without any problem. It's just quietly sitting there.
Yeah.
And but when you actually tap into that thing, then you realize that the time is limited, right? And when the time is limited, then what? Then then probably when your lights are out from here, you don't know where you open up. So till the time your lights are on here, you would want to, if you had a choice that I want to feel good, a duality I'm talking about, if you want to feel good or you want to feel bad, so you would choose the good one, right?
Yeah.
You will say that, okay, I want to feel good. So I think this limited time when we live in a space of um, just living for somebody else, or living how somebody else thinks that we should be, or
Mhm.
how, I mean, putting all this thing outside, putting all our responsibility of expression. We have a
Mhm.
responsibility of expression as a soul.
Yeah,
It's a
yeah, we
very
do.
natural thing, right? It's a very natural thing. The soul is like, you don't need to tell me that I have a responsibility. I'll just happen, you
Yeah.
know.
Mm. It doesn't need any directions, I guess. Yeah. It is directing us one way or the other. Yeah.
Yeah, it will just express, and the responsibility as a this meat bag that we are, we need to come to an understanding that that is very important. So let it happen and come out of the way. Don't be standing in the way, blocking it, trying to control it and trying to make it a certain way. you know of course you will have your moments of control and thinking that, okay, things are happening your way.
Mhm.
But I feel that at a larger sense, things, you don't have much control. Things would happen the way it has to happen, and you are just um, you're just
A tool
like
and
a little
meat bag,
tool.
as you
Yes,
just
you're
said.
just
Yeah.
a, yes. Meat bag is, I just, I mock myself like sometimes.
I believe in that because we cannot be serious at ourselves all the time, right? We gotta laugh at ourselves.
Absolutely.
So that
Absolutely.
because as a whole group of people globally now we cannot stand a joke because we get offended about too many stuff because we become very sensitive, right? That's the one
Hmm.
thing that too many stand-up comedians has an issue nowadays because
Ah,
their audience are there to listen to a joke, just like any lifestyle. Like we be at home, we be with our friends. We've never been in a situation where we get offended for smaller things. Somebody calls out us, right? If we just have a sense of humor within ourselves and we could laugh at ourselves, I think we could create a more loving environment wherever we go.
hmm. Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes. Great, very well put. Because I think just to ease the situation, or to be able to, I feel, to be able to bring in fun is
Hmm.
also one of our great elements,
Hmm.
that if we could build in our life, I think it's beautiful. I mean, it has worked for me in a certain way that I would try. For some time I said, okay, I'm gonna, in every bad situation I'm in,
Hmm.
which pisses me off, I
Hmm.
will see that what is the fun inside it. I'll try to make it funny. My
Hmm.
task is to make that thing a little funny and
Hmm.
just laugh about this whole thing. And and then sometimes I will do that, and I feel that then I'm a little more easy about situations. You know,
Yeah.
I'm not too serious about it. So
That brings us to a calm place, right? Humor can be one tool. Laughter can be that medicine for us to find that calmness. That's what I feel spirituality is all about. It's just my experience because as we already established that different people, experiment different things in their journey, and their answers are different because they ask different questions to the infinite internet, right? So
Mm.
I feel spirituality ends when you find peace, when you find that calmness within yourself, where you could always tap in, because it's challenging, as we mentioned, that it's a constant work until the day comes, right? So
Mm.
just finding that peace kind of ends the world of spirituality for me. Once you find the
Mm.
calmness, and that's when the action comes into picture, I guess. Yeah.
Mm.
What do you think about
I
that?
feel
Like,
it. I feel it never really. I think it never really ends.
mm-hmm,
I
mm-hmm,
mean, I think it's always there,
mm-hmm,
and I mean, of course, like I mean, I think there are places. I think we just come in here in this lifetime, and we just experience this lifetime, and you know, I mean, still a lot of my answers are not clear. I
mm-hmm,
mean, I'm still in the seeking mode where I'm still asking that, where do we come from? Like, why do we come here? And of course, I've got so many theoretical answers. Like, okay,
mm-hmm.
probably we have come here to learn something, and we have come here to clear our karmas,
Yeah.
and or probably to realize God once again. We have so many explanations to all these things, and I don't know what are true and what are not true.
Mm-hmm,
So for me, it's just just living things at the moment. Living this life and moving forward, however it comes in. And of course, I have a certain understanding, or I have a certain ideas about what it should be and what it should not be. Some might be cool, some might be delusional.
mm-hmm,
So
mm-hmm.
so the whole idea is that uh, I think we are just moving forward. We are just moving forward, and uh, a lot is happening.
Definitely, brother. That we all can agree upon. Because how did you cope with the lockdowns and all that stuff? Because with the person with your caliber, I had a lot of chance to. I've been following your work for all these years, right? So I could see that you've been helping out different artists, and I was one of them as well. I did attend one of your workshops, and you did open up different aspects of dancing and also about life in that workshop. And I really love the way you express yourself in one of your classes, right? And I know these things coped to go through the lockdown. And what was the few things that was really important for you to cling on to? Like, clinging on is a bad thing, because we're talking about letting go like so many times in this show already. Like, I want to put that cling on word just to say, establish that what was the few practices or your mental mindset that you had through the lockdowns, that you stuck to it and you still stuck to it, because
Mm,
this might be the most healthiest habits that you have found for yourself, right? Yeah.
mm. To be honest, the first lockdown, it was incredible because I did a lot of work because it just newly happened, and I was in the zone that okay, we have holidays now. Imagine how children are when the school is at holidays. So I was like, yeah, holiday, man.
Summer
So
vibes.
summer vibes, and and then I started just doing a lot of just a lot of personal growth work, in various ways. I started doing a lot of research about various things that I was studying. I started doing a lot of meditation. I became very, in a very like I, I was in a proper schedule and routine, waking up early, doing my things, moving forward, doing certain things, creating certain things. That was the time when I created my YouTube channel, and then
Mhm.
putting a lot of work on the YouTube channel, and bring that on. So I was very productive the first lockdown, but the second lockdown, somehow I was zero productive. Like I
Mhm.
wasted almost like 1 month
Mhm.
doing literally nothing. Like I was just there chilling, just regular work, just get up, do your thing, do something, and oh, it's time to go to sleep.
Yeah.
And then you wake up again, and it's time to go to sleep. So without any, without any direction or without any space, like I was dabbling a little bit here and there. And I think that time was required. That time was required for me to, sometimes you need to take like,
Step
taking two
back and
steps
yeah.
further.
Mhm.
Yes, you need to take a couple of steps back and rest. And sometimes you need to give some time for you to just think that what you really want to do and what things needs to happen and how you need to proceed. And somehow, although that how it started, but apparently it went into a space where we were more, I started getting into this coaching thing. I
Mhm.
was more serious about the coaching, and then I did my certification. So all those great things happened. I think in both the lockdowns, I think even though I had my times of up and down, being focused or not focused, but I think in both the lockdowns, I think some great things happened. So
Yeah.
this time, like my certification happened, all these certification, I got into this new stream industry field, and I started meeting people, and started,
Mhm.
working with various kind of people. So then like it kind of was a different vibe in the second time.
Definitely. Like, thanks for sharing that because it really would have molded you to, as well as to during the first lockdown, it helped you to be more productive. As you said, maybe you thought that was the best time to put out all the new skills that you already have in places.
Mm,
And
mm,
since you also become a creative content creator at that time, you had so much work to do, and that's why I understand that you had to take a step back and reflect on what just happened in your life and just ease out and think about what you want to do next, because that space
mm,
is much more important than just being productive, right? The more we run out of fuel. We need to
mm,
refill sometimes, right? And another different perspective from a friend that I usually get this knowledge from. He views our body as like a bike, a motorbike, right? We can keep running on it, but the the bolts and nuts will grease out some point. So we gotta
mm,
screw them up tightly before we go to our next journey. That's what I got it
mm,
from your experience. And I'm really happy
mm,
for all the new adventures that that came into place. And I know for a fact you have plenty more. And one of the things that I also wanted to point out that through the second lockdown, I feel you also become an organizer. You have organized a couple of things before, and I know you have founded Delhi Mosh Pit and been representing it ever since. And you guys have been killing with Crump ever since. Your
mm.
videos are on YouTube for anybody who's curious how non-dual is on the stage. You gotta go check them out. And you guys have a YouTube page for Delhi Mosh Pit.
Yeah. YouTube page is there for Delhi Mosh Pit.
That's lovely. Then you guys can check out a couple of videos on them, like from them. Yeah. And also coming back to the organizer perspective, right? Uh, Nature Buck is happening this September 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. It's going to be a lovely event. And can you tell us a bit about Nature Buck and your transformation, your recent transformation as an organizer?
Mm. I mean, when I take on this word of organizer and put it on my head, when I put this cap on my head,
All right.
this cap feels very heavy, I'm like, oh, I don't want to be an organizer.
All right.
No, I'm just kidding. But um, I mean, I didn't really see it as like, oh, I have to organize and I'm turning into an organizer.
Mhm.
Probably that's what you call somebody who puts things together. But this idea was there for quite some time. A couple of years I had it.
Mhm.
Um, and I wanted to create something like this. I wanted to attend something like this for myself. And one of the times, me and Baksha, we were in Kodaikanal, and I was telling him that we should come to a place like this and train for some time. And that's
Mhm.
how the conversation started. And then from there, I felt that probably I could, if that thing is not there, is there a way that I can create it, just for myself or for the world? Because
Mhm.
this was the idea which came like 3 years back. And then it took various shapes with time. So I forgot about it for like a year and a half or two, and then later on it came back, and every time it keep coming back here and there. This time I went to, and somehow I don't know why, whenever I go to Dehradun, Dehradun is a place that gives me that vibe. And this was the second time that I went to Dehradun, and it gave me the vibe again. First time I went, last year, I think, I started working on this project. I said, okay, let me start to do it. But I was too much into this thing of, oh, perfection. I want to make it like the best thing, the craziest thing. And of course, when you are too mad about perfection, then nothing happens. So, so, so I had to let that go at that time.
Okay.
But this time, somehow, that idea came back to me this time when I was in Dehradun, and I kind of followed through with that idea. And I was like, I really want to do this, because this was the time when I just finished my coaching, and I think with this year going in, this year was 2020 was the most transformational year for me. It was the most craziest year for me in various ways. It was like an oscillation. Sometimes it went really high, sometimes it went really down. So, and it was a great year in terms of, I think, transformation, like an important year. I'll not forget this year for sure. And then from there, this coaching and everything came into my life, and from there, there was a new, I think, let me say, the new identity was being built.
Okay.
Which this new identity felt that it could do more, and it doesn't need to be perfect, and it can take it easy, and it can just work with intention. It can come in with a strong intention to create something positive in the world, and take the help and support from the universe, and it will happen. And and that's how I started working towards it. And now, since I feel that I have come a long way, till this point where it's just like around 28 days down the line, I'm pretty excited for it, because such a thing have been thinking and planning for quite some time. It's like a dream that is actualizing in front of me right now. And the dream actually is not that this event should happen and I should put something like this. Of course, that thing is there. I want to create a certain set of standard for the Indian Scrum community in terms of not just in terms of dancing, but it also in terms of a mindset, also in terms of awareness, also in terms of being more creative and open-minded, and how they can tap into other facets of themselves. Because when they tap into other facets of themselves, there is a huge potential to transformation, and it can. So that's how the whole program is designed. The 4-day program is designed in such a way to help people make some kind of shift, be it in their crump, be it in their mindset, be it whatever. The environment, sorry. So the environment has to be provided, right? And the environment has to, come in such a way that it can support you to having that. And I'm here to facilitate that with whatever I know, whatever I understand, whatever work I've put into my craft, and understanding every other thing. So I'm kind of trying to bring all these things together. So it's like a dream come true. So more than, as I said, more than this project itself, another great thing is that it's an expression of me breaking one of my limiting beliefs, that I felt that I can't do this thing. I felt that I could not do this thing at a great, massive level, at a place where I can actually impact a lot of people, truly, and it's, and I feel like even if one person makes that shift, I think it's great for me, But since I started putting this out, I realized that it's an amazing thing, the kind of response that I got. I know that it's a great thing, and when such a thing would come in the space, people would understand probably what deep work is about. People would understand what really, how can you tap into other things apart from just movement. Movement, of course, you're going to focus a lot on movement, and it's going to be, you're going to make sure that you are served the best with crump. But I also want to, bring that other facilitations in place. So, now, so two major things. One, this thing happening as a dream, which I've been thinking for quite some time. And the second thing is me shifting on one of my mindsets where I initially thought that I couldn't do it. Now, since this is happening, I feel that it's a great initiative and things are
Falling into
happening in my
places.
favor.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Things are happening in my favor. I can see that thing. I can see the flow happening. So I'm
Mhm.
just grateful for every single thing that's happening at this point of time. And I just can't wait to be there in, September and, just be there for 4 days. And
Me too, brother.
so,
I'm pretty excited for that too, like to travel for this event because it, like you talking about the event kind of gives me a whole perspective about who you really are, right? Like we were talking about visualization, we were talking about manifestation, and this your upcoming project would be the best example for us to understand that it is possible when you have a word and make it a vision, and that becomes a dream, and you work towards it with the right timing and trust with the process, and it becomes an happening. And when it's an happening, it's a whole different experience for you, right? Yeah, because
absolutely.
just being just thinking about it in a participant perspective for this event, for your event, right? It gives me so much excitement and more learning curiosity, because you have a whole different systematic place for dances. This is just a small vision, as which is the biggest vision for you, as taking a small shapes and forms now, and can be a larger, picture in the coming years. And I'm pretty excited for that. Like, thank you for even thinking about this vision. And it's a new way of teaching. It's a new way of learning. And that's what is mesmerizing for me. Thank you for bringing that up. And thank you for sharing that. And thank you for creating it. And you're also one of the faculty, and you'll be teaching at the camp, right? Along with Ibrahim Basha and Majin Bu. Yeah.
Yeah.
For the listeners, if you can check out all the posters on Rohit Raj non-duals page, and you have all the details on Delhi Moshpit Instagram handle as well. Yeah.
Yeah,
It
man.
wa- Yeah. So we started off talking about mindfulness, and think that's what the whole idea for me to connect with you in a way, in terms of to learn about mindfulness, awareness, manifestation. I think we pretty much you shared so much information on those areas. And I'm really grateful that you did all that and you took your time from your busy schedule and to be here and help us understand a little more about you, and also your interest apart from dancing and all those things, the small stories that we shared today, and the laughs that we shared was pretty amazing. Thank you so much for that.
Bro, amazing. It was amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
So how
Thank
did
you,
you?
first of all.
Mhm. You're
Yeah,
welcome.
yeah. I'm just saying, man, thank you for, even having me on your show. I think it's great. It's a great honor for me to be able to express myself on this platform where some people could hear it, some people could probably get something out of it, or it could help in whatever form, and that's really amazing. And yeah, man, just
Yeah,
just keep the great vibe. That's
definitely,
what I want.
brother. Definitely, always. And you're also a great vibe. You know that already. And the listeners would also feel that, right? Because it's a real example to, come across and connect with like real influencers, right? Who are doing the groundwork, and they take different forms as they get different visions in their lives, and they become all of that. And I see you for that, and I've always seen you for that. And that is the reason I wanted to invite you on the show and connect and talk about it, so that even others just like me can get inspired and connect with you. And you can change so many human consciousness to be mindful, or whatever the goals that they have. you are certified enough, you have experienced enough to help them to guide to their higher direction. And I'm really happy that you shared, and you're really happy that you were here and had an amazing time. Yeah, I guess.
Man, thank you so much. It's been absolutely wonderful.
Definitely.
I had a great time.
Thank you for sticking around to the entire episode. If you like the content and you think it's useful, please go ahead and share it with a friend or a family member. Also, you can find this entire episode for free on Spotify under the Vibe Check. Go ahead and subscribe to this channel and also click on the notification button for future contents at your fingertips. Have a fabulous week. Peace out.